For 18 years, I raised my husband's illegitimate son as my own. At his graduation, my husband announced in front of everyone, "Thank you for raising my mistress's son." Then the boy answered immediately, and my husband was left speechless. My husband, Ethan, still had the microphone raised when Daniel pushed his chair back. I reached for him, but he was already standing, black gown hanging from his shoulders, honor cord swinging against his chest. "Don't thank her," Daniel said. "Apologize to her." The tables shifted. Ethan's clients, church friends, and Daniel's professors waited for the awkward joke to become funny. Ethan gave a light laugh. Daniel lifted his phone. "And before you say she knew everything," he said, "the dean has the file you changed, the bank has the withdrawals, and I have the letters you signed her name to." Ethan's smile fell apart. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The microphone caught one sharp breath and sent it through the speakers. I stood beside the family table with Daniel's graduation program folded in my hand. Under special thanks, Ethan had erased me from the life I had built, one fever, one school form, one late-night drive at a time. But Daniel had brought records Ethan could not charm away. 18 years earlier, Ethan came home carrying a baby carrier and a lie wrapped in a blue blanket. We had been married less than a year. I worked at a public library. He sold insurance and talked like success was always one handshake away. "His mother can't keep him," he said. "I made a mistake before you and me got serious. She signed him over. I need to know if you can stay." The baby blinked up at me, one tiny fist pressed to his cheek. "What is his name?" I asked. "Daniel." I picked him up because he started fussing. Daniel quieted against my shoulder. That was the first hook Ethan set in me. Not romance, not forgiveness, a child. He said Daniel's birth mother wanted no contact. Her family was ashamed, and if I left, the baby would have nobody steady. I believed a terrible beginning could become a decent family if the adults worked hard enough, so I stayed. Daniel became mine before paperwork ever did. He became mine during ear infections, preschool nightmares, and grocery trips where he reached for me before anyone else. When he was 4, he wore a little brass house key on a shoelace because he was scared someone might leave him behind. I told him, "This means home always opens for you." Ethan liked being a father in public. He held Daniel at church picnics and gave proud speeches when teachers praised our son, but he was never the one searching for inhalers, sitting through conferences, or driving back for a forgotten project board. There were small cuts I pretended not to feel. My name became guardian on one school file. Adoption copies were kept in Ethan's office. He made control sound like protection, and because Daniel seemed safe, I swallowed more than I should have. The first serious crack came during Daniel's senior year of high school. A cream envelope arrived from the college financial office. Inside was a notice about a parent loan I had never applied for. My name was printed at the top. My signature was at the bottom. When I showed Ethan, he sighed like I was making dinner late. "You signed a stack of forms months ago." "No, I didn't, Mara. You forget things when you get overwhelmed." "I do not forget signing debt." His face sharpened. "You wanted to be his mother," he said. "This is what mothers do. They carry things." Daniel was in the next room, so I folded the notice and slid it into my purse. Later, I called the financial office. A woman named Lauren said the loan copy could only be sent to the email on file. It was not mine. It was Ethan's initials followed by Daniel's birth year. That evening, I asked Ethan for the college portal login. He did not look up from his plate. "Why?" "I want to check Daniel's balance. I already handled it. I still want to see it." He smiled across the table. "Your mom gets anxious when she feels left out." Daniel's fork paused halfway to his mouth. I smiled too because if I reacted, Ethan would call me unstable. After dinner, I put the cream envelope in the drawer beneath the dish towels. The second crack came at church. Daniel had won a small scholarship and the pastor called families forward after service. Ethan stood beside Daniel. I moved to join them, but Ethan's mother, Claire, touched my wrist. "Let his real family have the picture," she said. Her voice was soft enough that nobody nearby turned. I looked at her hand on me. "Excuse me?" Claire smiled. "You have been wonderful, Mara, but there are moments where blood matters." Daniel heard her. He stepped back and reached for me in front of the congregation. Ethan laughed into the awkwardness. "Mom, don't start," he told Claire. But he did not correct her. He did not call me Daniel's mother. He pulled Daniel back toward the pastor, and Daniel looked at me with apology all over his face. Was I wrong to feel crushed right there? After doing the daily work and still being moved out of the picture? If you think I was not wrong, please give this a like so I know I am not the only woman who understands how quiet disrespect can wear a person down. After church, Daniel asked, "Why does Grandma do that?" I gripped the steering wheel. "Some people think love has to be proven by paperwork they approve of." "You're on my paperwork," he said. I almost told him I was no longer sure, but Ethan tapped on the window and said, "Family lunch?" He used that word whenever he wanted obedience. From there, the contradictions became a pattern. A graduation package arrived with 2 badges. One said father, one said guest. Mine was guest. Ethan called it a university mistake. Then Daniel found a seating chart, placing me at a back table while Ethan and Claire sat beside him. Then an email thanked Ethan for submitting the Mother's Memorial line for Daniel's program. When I asked what that meant, Ethan took my phone to read it properly and deleted the message. "You deleted it. It looked fake," he said. "You are searching for problems because you felt embarrassed at church." That was his favorite trick. He used the wound he caused as proof I was too sensitive to trust. But he had forgotten I worked in a library. I knew people left trails. I called Lauren and asked to come in person. I brought my license, adoption certificate, the cream envelope, and the brass key Daniel had returned when he left for college. Lauren met me in a small office and slid over a parent contact form. My name had been marked not legally responsible. A box beside mother deceased had been checked to block maternal contact fields. "I'm standing here," I said. "I know," Lauren answered softly. Then she printed the access log tied to my identity. Late night uploads from Ethan's office, forms with my copied signature, and payment requests moving refunds into a joint account I had never seen. Take this to a lawyer, she said. When I got home, Ethan was in the garage on a call. No, she doesn't know. After graduation, it won't matter. He'll be out and she will look ridiculous if she complains. I stood there with the brass key pressed into my palm. That night, I did not confront him. I made dinner. I asked Daniel about final exams. I let Ethan think I had swallowed everything, because sometimes silence is not surrender. Sometimes silence is a locked drawer. Daniel came home 2 days later with laundry and a face too tired for someone his age. After dinner, he found me folding towels. Mom, he said, did Dad ask you to skip the honors breakfast? I set a towel down. No, why? He showed me Ethan's message. Don't push Mara about graduation. She has complicated feelings about you leaving. Sometimes women who cannot have their own children struggle when the borrowed one grows up. I read it twice. My face went hot, but my hand stayed still. Daniel watched me. That isn't true, is it? No. What else has he lied about? For 1 second, I thought about protecting him. Then I thought about every time my silence had protected Ethan instead. I opened the dish towel drawer and took out the cream envelope. We sat at the kitchen table until after midnight. I showed Daniel the loan notice, the changed email, the access log, the guest badge, and the deleted tribute message I had recovered from my phone's trash folder. Daniel did not interrupt. He only moved the brass key across the table with one finger. Finally, he said, I have something too. He brought in a black folder from his car. Inside were letters from his birth mother, Rebecca. Careful, awkward, regretful letters sent when Daniel was little, then older, then nearly grown. They had been forwarded to the university after failing to reach him at home. One line made me sit back. I was told your adoptive mother refuses all contact. But I hope someday you know I tried to reach you properly. There were return forms too. My name was on them, my copied signature, refused by adoptive mother, contact not welcome. Daniel's voice was low. He used you to keep her away, and he used her to make you feel replaceable. By morning, Daniel had a plan. He signed releases, requested the full records, and called Rebecca while I sat nearby because he asked me to stay close. When he came back, his face looked older. She said Dad told her you hated her, he said, and she sent money for school every year. Dad said it went into my account. It had not all of it. That evening, Ethan walked in carrying takeout like he lived in a normal house. He saw the black folder on the table. What's this? Daniel looked at him. Graduation stuff. Ethan's eyes moved to me. You two planning a surprise? Something like that, Daniel said. Over the next week, Ethan became almost tender. He brought me coffee. He told Claire on speakerphone that I was fragile lately. He suggested I skip the honors breakfast and come only to the main ceremony because crowds might upset me. When I said I was attending everything, his face hardened. Mara, don't make this about you. I did not create the schedule. You don't have to stand in every spotlight near him. I looked up from the sink. I was usually standing nearby with his inhaler and snacks. Then Ethan said the line I will never forget. Do not confuse being useful with being irreplaceable. He said it softly, almost kindly, like he was giving advice instead of cutting me open. I nodded. I understand. He thought he had won because I did not argue, but Daniel had changed his portal passwords. Lauren had locked the tribute file. My lawyer had opened a review of the forged signatures. Rebecca had sent copies of canceled checks, each one endorsed by Ethan. The morning of graduation, I put the brass key in my pocket. At the honors breakfast, Ethan had moved me to a back table, claiming I preferred quiet. Daniel moved my place card beside his before I arrived. When Ethan saw me there, he squeezed my shoulder too hard. Do not start today, he whispered. Claire leaned close. Men make mistakes. Women keep families together. I looked at her. Women also keep receipts. Later, I learned Ethan had tried one final time to replace Daniel's tribute video with a flash drive labeled Family Thanks. Lauren told him the system was locked unless Daniel approved it. He walked away. The main ceremony was almost peaceful. Daniel crossed the stage. I clapped until my palms hurt. Ethan smiled for cameras, pretending his secrets were not sitting in a black folder under my chair. The public damage came at the department reception afterward. Faculty, family, church friends, and Ethan's clients filled the room. Ethan loved a microphone and a crowd that still thought he was charming. When the department chair invited parents to say a few words, Ethan stood before Daniel could move. He took the microphone with a laugh. I will be quick, he said. Daniel's hand found mine under the table. Ethan looked straight at me. Some people deserve thanks even when the story is complicated, he said. For 18 years, Mara raised a child from my mistake with another woman. She knew he was my mistress's son, and she still played mother beautifully. A few people shifted. Claire lowered her eyes, not from shame, but calculation. Ethan lifted his glass. So thank you, Mara, for raising my mistress's son. He wanted me small. He wanted me exposed as charity, not mother. He wanted me to cry so he could call me unstable. Instead, Daniel stood. Don't thank her, he said. Apologize to her. Ethan laughed once. Son, this is not the time. It is exactly the time. Daniel walked to the podium. The department chair looked unsure, but Daniel held out his hand. Ethan could not refuse without looking worse, so he gave him the microphone. Daniel turned to the room. My father is right about one thing, he said. Mara raised me. What he left out is that he spent years trying to erase her from the records that proved it. Lauren stood near the laptop used for the tribute slideshow. Daniel nodded once. She clicked. The screen changed from the university logo to a clean document list. A parent contact form with my name removed. A loan application with my copied signature. A returned letter marked refused by adoptive mother. A refund request sent to an account Ethan controlled. A time-stamped upload showing Ethan had replaced Daniel's original tribute line with a fake memorial note. The room reacted in pieces. A professor leaned forward. Ethan's largest client stood slowly. Claire whispered, "Ethan, what did you do?" Daniel kept speaking. "My birth mother is alive. She was told Mara wanted her gone. Mara was told that woman wanted nothing to do with me. Money sent for my education was redirected. Letters were returned with signatures Mara did not write. Today my father tried to make the woman who stayed look foolish because he knew the records were catching up with him." Ethan stepped toward the podium. "Turn that off." Lauren did not move. The department chair stepped between them. "Sir, please sit down." For the first time, Ethan met a locked door that did not care how smooth his voice was. Daniel reached into his gown and pulled out the brass key on its old shoelace. "I had not known he brought it. When I was little, Mom gave me this because I was scared of being left," he said. "She told me home would always open for me. My father spent years calling her temporary, but temporary people do not keep the key." He turned to me. "Mom, come stand with me." My legs felt strange as I walked to him. Not weak, just unused to being chosen in front of people who had watched me be pushed aside. Daniel put the key in my palm. Then he faced Ethan. "You called me your mistress's son because you thought it would shame her. It only told everyone what she rescued me from." Ethan stood beside the table. One hand lifted, mouth open around words that had nowhere safe to land. The fallout spread fast. Ethan tried to leave with Claire, but Daniel stopped him long enough to say, "Do not call me until my lawyer has your lawyer's information." Lauren said the packet had gone to the proper offices. Ethan's biggest client walked past him without a glance. In the parking lot, Claire tried one last performance. "Mara, handle this privately. Think about Daniel." I turned with the brass key in my hand. "I am thinking about Daniel. That is why I am done handling Ethan privately." That night, Daniel and I sat in a diner over pancakes neither of us ate. "I should have told you sooner," he said. "I spent years not telling myself. You do not have to apologize for needing time." He stared into his coffee. "I might meet Rebecca once, but not because I need a mother." I looked down. He reached across the table. "I already have one. The divorce filing happened the next week." My lawyer, Patrice, tapped each questionable signature with her red pen. "This is not just divorce," she said. "This is financial misconduct and a long pattern of concealment." Ethan sent flowers to the library with a card that said, "We built a family. Do not let anger burn it down." I left the flowers at the front desk. His insurance agency put him on leave after the loan documents reached compliance. The church removed him from the finance committee. Claire stopped calling after Patrice warned her not to contact me about Daniel or the case. People from the reception apologized for letting Ethan turn me into the help while calling it family. Rebecca came into town near the end of summer. Daniel met her alone. When he came home, he said, "She cried about the letters. She asked if she could thank you someday." I looked at an old photo of Daniel holding up the brass key like treasure. "Someday," I said. Ethan had built a fence out of lies, but forgiveness is not a door people get to kick open just because the truth finally knocks. Ethan's last attempt came 3 months after graduation outside the library. "Mara," he said, "I lost my job. I heard. They are making it sound like I stole from my own son. You redirected money meant for him. I was going to pay it back." "No, you were going to stay ahead of the next question." His face tightened. "You liked being the better parent." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because even ruined, he still reached for the same knife. "No, Ethan, I liked Daniel being fed, safe, loved, insured, educated, and able to sleep without wondering if home was temporary. Can you tell him I'm sorry? You can send that through his lawyer." "You are really throwing away 18 years? I looked at my key ring, my house key, my car key, the little brass key Daniel had returned to me, now attached beside them. "No," I said. "I'm keeping the part of those years that was real." By winter, the house felt different, not empty, honest. Ethan signed a settlement returning the education money, assuming the fraudulent debt, and giving up any claim to the house. His agency did not take him back. The church did not either. Rebecca and I eventually met at a quiet coffee shop. She had Daniel's eyes, which hurt more than I expected. "I believed him," she said. "So did I." She did not ask Daniel to call her mom. She sent medical history, family stories, and one awkward birthday message that made him smile instead of flinch. Daniel and I kept our ordinary rituals: Sunday dinner, grocery lists, library books he pretended not to need. When he got his first apartment, I gave him the brass key in a small frame. Under it, I wrote one sentence: "Home never needed his permission." He hung it by his front door. On the anniversary of graduation, I cleaned the kitchen drawer beneath the dish towels. For years, it had held the cream envelope, copied forms, returned letters, and the first loan notice with the false signature. I did not throw them away. Patrice told me to keep records, so I moved them into a labeled box in the closet. Then I lined the drawer with fresh paper. Daniel came over that evening with takeout. He found me holding the old kindergarten drawing, the one with 3 stick people and mom written under mine. "You kept that?" he asked. Of course. He placed it on the refrigerator with a new magnet from his apartment. Later, after he left, I locked the door and stood in the quiet kitchen. The brass key was no longer hidden in a drawer or clenched in my palm. It was on my key ring, beside the key to the house that was mine now, catching the light every time I moved. Ethan once thanked me in front of everyone for raising his mistress's son, hoping the words would empty me out. All they did was show my son which door had always opened for him.